a hammer. Yeah, Tar, you don't know the lore. You don't know the hammer lore at this point. I ended up getting more of a viewership between Twitch and YouTube because of Lidia and Tekken. And I invented technology that I called hammer tech. And that has stuck, and now I have to use this hammer as a prop. Because every time I pull out the hammer, people go, the hammer! And then they do, like, hold on, is there a hammer emote in Twitch? Hammer! Thank you. Oh my god, there is a hammer. See, look, they're doing it for me. I don't even need to do the hammer thing. They're just doing the hammer emote for me. It's great. How are you alive? You know, that's a great question, Milgers. I don't know. I need this thing to exist now. This hammer is my life, and if the hammer breaks, then I break permanently. Okay. Can we start the recording now? All right. I'm ready. I'm putting my headphones on. Ow, my hair. I'm putting my headphones on. I'm looking at the screen. I'm hitting the start recording button and you can't stop me. Okay. 3, 2, 1. So I've been gone the past couple of days because I've been on vacation. Great. Why couldn't the hammer find a girlfriend? Ow, the hole was hitting on everything in sight. Great. 2 seconds into the recording. We already have it all one. You know what? I'm not even doing the recording anymore because I'm just gonna have to pull this from Twitch and then upload it on YouTube so that there's context for all of the hammer jokes that go to be in the chat down here. Oh, okay. Anyway, what I was trying to say before I was so rudely interrupted by a hammer joke is that I have been saying in Tekken for a long time that the only characters that can win in this game are the top tier characters because of consistency. You can get to top 8 in a tournament with any character, but actually winning a tournament with a non-top 10 character is almost an impossibility just because of the consistency and how difficult the game is. I saw messages in the chat, I'm not reading the chat. But while I was on vacation, that changed. At Punishment 3, not only did a non-top 10 character win a Tekken World 2, a major event, but it was a Lidia player. It's like my entire brand at this point is Lidia. And the Lidia player happened to win while I was on vacation. So this video is a couple of days late because of that, unfortunately. But we're going to watch through the grand finals at Punishment 3. We have Lee Mishima playing Lidia, and we have Abel del Maestro, I think that's how you pronounce his name, playing Eddie. We're going to look through grand finals. We're going to talk about how Lee Mishima is playing Lidia, the things that you can apply to your game when playing Lidia, and maybe some of the things that Lee Mishima did wrong and can be improved on, or just things that Abel did wrong that you can improve on when playing the matchup. Anyway, let's get into the games. See, there you go. Now I can read the chat. That's the recording. We're done with the intro. Easy. All right. So we're getting into round 1, immediately starting with down 2 into sidestep. Now, why do you do down 2 at round start here? Because what a lot of people say about down 2 is, oh, it's bad because it's -4. But what is Eddie going to do about it? Down forward 1, jab, right? If he starts out the round with like 1-2, then he gets counted into heat engager and Lidia gets his stack. And at round 1, you have to be very aware of getting that initial stack because that's going to allow you to be able to do everything in the future. So doing everything that you can to be able to get into heat immediately in round 1, it should be your entire game plan. Right, so Eddie does nothing, and then even after this hits at -4, still does nothing. Instead just tries using movement to get around. Lee also uses movement, and now Lee dashes up and is back in Abel's face. Abel takes his turn to do the low, and now we're backing out again, and then after that low hit, down forward 2. Down jab beats this, right? So down jab option selects after down forward 2. Lee went for down forward 2 in the 4. I don't know why. These two have played once before in this tournament, so Lee has a decent idea on how Abel plays. The 4 doesn't beat anything though, including jabs. Down jab just option selects everything. Now in the future though, that Lee Mishima knows Abel is going to do that, Lee can just block. You can do down 4-2 in the block, because then at that point Abel loses his turn and Lee's essentially +6 after this move is blocked because Abel's going to down jab it, right? So even though the down jab option selects here, it doesn't do a lot, and it gives Lee some information on how Abel's going to deal with that situation. Alternatively, Abel can see that Lee did the 4, and then say, okay, if he's gonna do the 4 again, then I can hop kick him, right? So that's what you gotta keep in mind. Perhaps thinking about it, the reason why Lee went for the 4 here is because of Eddie's high armor move, but I think that at the beginning of a game, it wouldn't make a lot of sense to do that, but perhaps that would be a reason, because it would crush onto the high. They actually do like you. It's a scary coincidence. All Lidia plays are the same. So, oh god, into the next interaction here. So down jab into while rising 4. So we're going back 10 seconds here. So do this, and then down jab into while rising 4, right? And the problem here is that Lee hit a button. So Abel could have just done the while rising 4 and then done a move, of course. And the low could have put Lee in a bad situation. But on the counter hit there, I mean, you get all of this guaranteed. It's basically a minion combo. But if Lee just ducked the high, then you would have got the launcher out of it, and it would be a lot worse for Abel. So you got to keep that in mind, especially at round start here. Lee's making a lot of very, like, decisions that Lee thinks, okay, he's going to do this stupid thing that's going to let me just kill him. But Abel's not doing any of that, and Lee has to keep that in mind. Again, forward 4-2 into 2, right? Why do forward 4-2 into 2 when they just down jabbed when you can do 3? Like, if you think that they're going to down jab, or you think they might crouch, then yeah, the 2's going to put you in heat, but you lose the momentum when it gets blocked. If the 3 hits, then you can just do forward 1+2, and it's so much better, right? So that's a good heat engager. And then little mini combo, and then chooses to go in the heaven nerf to finish the combo. And I like this. This is more my play style with Lidia. Some players, specifically Japanese players like Chikurin, don't go for this. They instead try to hold the heat for as long as possible. But I think getting that first stack is so vital to how you play Lidia throughout the rest of the game that you kind of have to do this in most situations, unless you feel really confident that you're going to be able to get that stack later and not risk dying. And I think in this case, because Lee has been guessing wrong almost every single time so far in this round 1, that's just not going to happen. So going for the stack here is probably the best decision. At least I think so. Right, so now run up, down, back 3. Now we don't have to worry about stacks, so we can just play down, back 3+4 to hit them while rolling. It's a pretty smart decision. I didn't even know that would work. And then just try it, like, here's the thing, right? In this situation, where Eddie does the heat burst. So let's look at this. So that ends up hitting Lidia because she thought she sidestepped it and she didn't, because this game's good. But if Eddie is able to actually run his offense, then Lidia just dies, because the mix-ups are going to be really hard to deal with. He has heat, whatever you call it, heat smash, and that's going to just allow Eddie for a not 50-50 if Lee blocks the first 50-50, and Abel has rage, so if he tries contesting, he can use rage on, etc, etc. Obviously armor into heat dash would be devastating, so you kind of have to just take it, right? And you saw that he did, I think, his core circle forward 4, which is that big plus on block move that would have done exactly that. So if Lee didn't do from crouch down forward 2 or while rising 4, then he would have just lost. Now, I think that the from crouch down forward 2 isn't the right thing to do here. I think that just while rising 4 by itself is much better, because it does the same thing, but it's not punishable on hit, and you still get your turn after it. But still, it was the right decision. And then run up for down 3 for the counter hit is smart, right? Because it's a 15-frame move. It's just faster. So down forward 1-2 to start with, no duck. 1-2-4, that one gets blocked. Good punish. Now heat coming out. 2-2. And this is a gimmick. And this is actually something that I saw in the game where he played Steve. And this goes back to what I said previously, which I don't know if it's going to be in the YouTube video or not, about Abel not knowing the matchup. Because this is a gimmick. So the 2-2 here into stance is, I can't remember if it's -11 or -12. I want to say it's -12. It might be -11. Either way, it doesn't matter. The point is that Eddie can grab here. So if Eddie has an idea that Lee's going to do this, and he should, because the game that he was playing Steve before Grand Finals, where Abel got knocked into losers, Lee did this exact same flowchart, and so Abel should know this. And because this is so minus, Lee can't do anything to avoid grab here. Like, Lee can't do 3, Lee can't do 1. I believe that Lee can't do 4 because it doesn't crouch fast enough. Lee can't do anything to be able to avoid grab out of cat stance. So if Lee goes into Heaven and Earth, it's guaranteed. If Lee doesn't go in Heaven and Earth, then he still has to deal with the grab mix-up. Now, if it's 11 frames, then maybe on the last frame out of the transition, he can duck it. I don't remember if it's 11 or 12. I just gotta be honest with you. But either way, you avoid this entire thing by just grabbing. And so this is something you have to think about in the matchup as well, both if you're playing Lidia and playing against Lidia, is that this isn't real. Now, this is something that I do as well, and a lot of people don't know this even at God levels, but this is purely a gimmick. And it works out very well here because you go in the stance and then do the 2, but this isn't a real mix. Yeah, so anyway, moving on. So we do the 2, and then down back 3, right? This is one of the frame traps. Down back 3, if it trades with a jab, then you get Political Storm guaranteed, so you have to eat the mix. And then you, after that, goes in the Wolf stance because Abel has been very defensive this entire time. And Wolf 1 transitions into Heaven and Earth at plus... Yeah, it's plus 10. I'm thinking plus 17 for the charge version. It's plus 10. So with Eddie specifically, Eddie cannot avoid the mix-up here at all. He has to take it. And Lee chooses to go for the unblockable. And if you're going to go for the unblockable, I personally do not agree with doing it here, because if Abel ducked that unblockable, he just gains back all of the momentum. Doing the unblockable here is like a win more thing, and I don't think that really accomplishes anything. But if you're going to do it at all, it's in this situation where the opponent doesn't have a lot of gray health to recover. You don't have any heat that's going to be drained if it gets ducked and you get comboed, and you have the health lead. So it's fine to do it, but I personally don't agree with it. It's a personal thing, but I think the unblockable, it just isn't the right place to do it. Maybe showing it so that the 2 can come out more often and they'll duck it more is good. But I don't think the unblockable is strong enough in this situation to warrant using it. I saw his Lidia win Tekken 2 event. I was hoping you cover it. Yeah, I was so unfortunate that I was in the middle of vacation when it happened. It was the worst possible timing. But I'm here now to cover it. Wow. So forward 4-2, attempting to just hit on wake up. It whiffs. And then Eddie tries taking his turn forward 4-2 again. Counter hit. 2 is guaranteed. Now, in this situation here, what you can do instead is the 1. And that'll put you in Wolf mix-up. And then if Wolf 4 hits with the health difference, because it'll bring him down to like a pixel, that'll turn Rage offline, essentially. It'll turn his arm move offline. And like here, for example, after the back 1, Abel could have done back 3 plus 4 and then gained back all of the advantage, because he would have recovered a little bit of gray health he had left. He would have had the heat, all of that. And instead, what you could have done is you could have done the 1, because that's guaranteed, and then done 4. And then you would have had to deal with the Oki. That would have killed him because of the health difference. And he also would have had to deal with the mix-up in Wolf. And of course, if you want to keep it safe, you could just do 2. And it would be the same situation. And if it's blocked, then it's no big deal. So, you know, it's not like this is bad. Like, I'm not saying this is bad at all. And then Lee tries going for a frame trap there. Not quite a real frame trap because I'm being jabbed out of. But down forward 1-3, right? Which on counter hit is natural. And the reason why I don't agree with that is because that means that the horse 2 was all being set up for that back 2 into down forward 1-3, which is just the exact same situation that you get from doing the horse 1 into Wolf mix-up, right? It's the exact same thing. It leads to the same outcome, the same health, the same situation. So I think that in this case, it just would have made more sense after that counter hit forward 4-2 to do the 1. Because it's the same thing that Lee's trying to do here. It's the exact same thing. But it opens up less risk to Lee by doing that. And even with the armor moves, like, yeah, you can armor move out of the 2, but you can armor move out of the back 1 as well, so. Lee Mishima did to avoid your live commentary. No, Lee, come on, man. What do you have against me?
What are you gonna do with it? Bill, what are you gonna do with it? Tries to interrupt.
Yep, so and now again, Abel's just taking back the momentum. And this is why I think it was so scary to do like that back one and everything, is because this is just after a heat burst, right? So imagine how this momentum would have shaken out if he got the heat engager off of armor move, right? It would have been so much worse. Like, you can already see how much chip damage that Lee's had to take. Now imagine the damage and stuff he would have had to deal with an actual like mix up, and it's just it would have been bad. Now again, after the forward 2, about to down jab, so at this point you should be knowing to do the 3 for the mid, right? And he did do the 3 there. I didn't even know he would do that, but he did do the 3. So there you go. That's part of the like the chart of how you utilize horse stance. So that's good. Just unfortunate that it hit. And then does the 2. So again, this isn't real. And I don't know why Lee did this, and I don't know why Abel ate the mix-up, because that horse 1 is only +1, and that's your fastest move out of there, but it's 15 frames. So if Abel did a 13-frame move, that would have been counter hit, right? And then again, Lee would have lost momentum. So a lot of this once again comes back down to a lack of matchup knowledge, because if Abel had the matchup knowledge there, you would have hit a button. Especially with how aggressive Lee's been being this whole time, you would have hit a button there. So again, down 2, and now this is just going to dictate the whole game, right? So we're starting with hammer tech, and then 2, and then the 2 would have gone into could have gone into full combo, and then again unblockable, right? So again, a matchup thing, right? Because down jab doesn't actually win against the 2, so like there's no reason to actually do this as the opponent. But again, I want you to think about the situation if instead of down jabbing, Abel just ducked, because down jabbing basically only beats the unblockable. You would have got full combo, would have recovered all of his gray life, Lidia would have lost all of her heat, and Eddie would have the health advantage and the momentum. And this is why I just don't agree with using the unblockable. And I think the only reason why Lee didn't get punished super hard for that and potentially lost this entire round for doing that unblockable is because of the lack of matchup knowledge. And if Lee had just done 2 instead, then Lee would be winning this game. Even on block, Lee would be very handsomely winning this game, because you have the heat left. You can do a like, I don't know, you could do heat smash, you could do forward 2 into 2. I think you'd have enough heat for that. I'm pretty sure you would. Yeah, because you got hit with the down jab, so you'd have enough for that. You could do just house sweep into another heaven and earth mix up. You have so many more options, and you would carry the momentum. You'd be winning the game. But that unblockable, I mean, even on hit, you would. It's just so risky. Tries to go for the hop kick for the low. It doesn't work. Heaven of 2 seems like the only good option outside of niche situations. I agree with you 100%. And you can, like, again, even though these unblockables aren't getting punished, you can see how they would be getting punished and how Lee would just be losing this game if Abel knew the matchup better. Unfortunate drop on the combo here. Forward 2 into heat engager. Sidesteps that. That was very nice. And then that's fine, right? Because you're waiting for that last hit, Abel is, so that's fine. But again, now we're doing the armor move again and the heat dash, and this is something that, as I've been pointing out, Lee's been doing this whole game, and he's been leaving himself susceptible to that armor move, and he just got punished for it, right? He lost a round because of it. So forward 2 into 1. Tries to, yeah, there's the jab, right? So this is from before. So you have to jab in this situation. Or at least take your turn with a move that's 14 frames or faster, because even 14 will trade with the 2. But you can't just let Lee get this, or Lidia, get this mix up for free. So jabbing it here is good. Now, you can be a little bit more proactive with that. I don't know exactly what tools Eddie has, but doing just one jab gets rid of all of the options Lee has out of that stance and still gives you a turn because you're +1. So instant while rising 4, second hit of that connects, goes for the damage instead. And now we're back in neutral. And there's that political storm, right? And even though it got launched here, I probably would have used political storm in the same way. And this is something I'm trying to teach with Lidia. That gets hit. This is something I'm really trying to teach with Lidia here, where, like, in this situation, now I think you could have been a little bit closer, but Political Storm just stops the opponent from being able to move forward at all. About had great spacing in neutral to be able to punish this properly. But if it was a little bit closer, if Lee did a micro dash into this, then Eddie would have been forced to block it and wouldn't have got a launch punish. But the idea of this was absolutely correct, because you're controlling that spacing, you're controlling Eddie's ability to be able to do like any of his running moves, win the neutral, gain space, and if it ends up hitting, then you get that full heat engager, which can just win you the game on the spot. It does get launched. Again, great neutral play from Bell. Drops the combo. Down forward 2 there. Counter hit, and then that's going to do it. Final round now.
Perfect on top of that. 2 rounds. Remember, he needs 2 sets.
Jabbing down back 3. Gets launched. Nicely done. And of course, the down 2 in this situation would be irrelevant because Eddie has a 13 frame launcher. Down forward 2. Again, gets down jabbed. So every time now that Lee has done the down forward 2, which is only twice to be fair, Abel has been down jabbing, and you know that the opponent now has an affinity for down jab. And this is one of the more difficult parts of Lidia, but it's one of the most important parts to understand, is when you're looking at this game, what is the most likely thing for the Eddie to do? And the most likely thing for the Eddie to do is down jab at this point, right? We can all agree on that. We at least know the Eddie isn't doing anything very proactive like arm move, hop kick, anything that would put us at really great risk. So in the situations where we're doing like forward 2 or down forward 2, we have to think about that. We have to assume that the opponent is going to down jab and then choose our move accordingly. So off of the forward 2, we saw Lee do 3 because that specifically beats down jab. Off of the down forward 2, what beats down jab there? Blocking, right? And that's what Lee should be doing here, is just blocking, because if he blocks, then he's getting that +6 and he's getting the mix up anyway. I think it's +6 after the down jab is blocked, but anyway, +4, +6, whatever, he's getting his turn, and now he's able to continue his pressure with forward 2, down back 3, all of the common stuff. Yeah, I mean, Christ, even back 1, right, for the mid. So that's why it's very, very important that you're aware of what the opponent's doing and you're not hyper focused on making sure that you do a move or a mix up out of your attack.
Oh, got him again.
All right. So again, Eddie going for damage here. Forward 2 counter hit. Just controlling that space. And then the 2, hammer attack. Here we go. Hammer attack. Hammer attack. Oh, we interrupted it with the down jab. So sad. But we got some hammer attack in the tournament. Ooh, you love to see it. You love to see it. Yeah, that down jab unfortunately does option select there after the down back 3. So let's talk about them. What after the down back 3 is going to beat down jab, for anyone that doesn't know? So I hate to see it. Because we know the Eddie wants to down jab a lot, we have to look at the chart, right? So down back 3 on hit. Let's look at down jab, right? What beats it? Horse 2 wins, right? So what Lee could have done, knowing that the Eddie wants to down jab a lot, and since he already has 3 stacks, the Heaven and Earth mix-up doesn't matter so much. So what you could do here, and what else do we know? We know that he doesn't do power crush at all in the stance mix-up. We know that because the down forward 2, he hasn't been power crushing at all. We know it doesn't sidestep right, and stand block is irrelevant because we're in heat and we're just going to heat dash anyway. So these are what we're looking at. So if Lee had done the 2 into heat dash, which wouldn't have been a crazy idea because the Eddie has been down jabbing so much, we would have got full combo, and we wouldn't have won there because that combo doesn't do a ton of damage and we don't have wall, but we would have put him in a 1 mix-up situation. And Eddie's already in heat, so he's not going to recover that great health with a heat engager. Granted, Heaven and Earth is probably what I would have done too for the extra chip damages because it's safe and you can't really beat it with many options. But it is an important thing to keep in mind in this situation, is that because the Eddie is down jabbing so much, that horse 2 after the down back 3 on hit would have sent the Eddie into the stratosphere. Anyway, continuing on here, down 2 again, that big counter hit, that is -10. That is not -15, that move is -10. Thank you. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, and then Rayjot, absolutely hate this game. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff that Lee did really well, obviously. Like, he's aware that Abel doesn't know the matchup. Very good with pressure. Very aware with stacks and doing a good job at gaining stacks. But the main problem is that Lee is kind of playing a single player game, right? And Tekken is a game that's all about playing single player. You don't really interact with the opponent at all. Instead, you just do a lot of mix-ups. But Lidia is a character where you actually have to interact with the opponent. You have to be aware of what the opponent's doing. And Lee Mishima's biggest problem right now is that he's not really concerned about what the Eddie is doing. In all of those instances where the Eddie down jab, there was again that one instance where he did the horse 3. But there were other options that just kind of accomplished the same thing but would have worked better if he was focusing a little bit more on how the Eddie was playing against the Lidia, right? If he was choosing different options specifically designed to counter like the down jabs and stuff, or to counter like the fact that he's not being very proactive in his defense, then it would have not been as close as it was. Does that make sense? Chipotle. Not Chipotle.
840 was like, I am chilling, bro.
Why can't I get my Tekken coins on PC?
I didn't even know I could hear it.
So keep that stuff in mind when we go on the game too. Jack is just like that. When you don't have mix-up, you have to dictate the match by focusing on what you want to do and how they react to you. Gamerhow is the only mix-up Jack has. Yeah, and Lydia's kind of the opposite of that, where she can't really dictate the match. She has to let the opponent dictate the match and then punish them for doing that. It's a unique but weird dynamic. Hi, Guy Dudesworth. Jack used to be a poking character, funny enough. Yeah, so did Eddie. How times change.
Out with the Eddie though.
Oh God. All right, yeah, down forward 2, and I like down forward 2 as a round start option. Abel's aware of it and just launched him. Very, very good. So you this is something that where we can tell that Abel might not know the matchup, but his fundamentals between punishing that and political storm, his neutral play, his whiff punishment, his mind games, his reads, just top notch. That's why I beat Q-Dons, right? Top notch. How's grab an option select? Can't you break it? No, not in some situations. After like hop kick, for example, Lydia's -13. It takes her 14 frames to be able to exit stance and block. So she is stuck in that stance for 13 frames. You can go in from a stance on frame 0. You can go into heaven and earth on frame 5. So if you do like hop kick, for instance, it's -6. But you can go into, no, it's -5. Yeah, it's -5. So you can go into heaven and earth, and then you enter heaven and earth in frame 10. So it means that you'll parry a jab. But grabs beat heaven and earth. It's a guaranteed grab because heaven and earth is a parry stance. So when you go into heaven and earth, and the opponent does grab, then you get punished and you can't do anything about it because you're stuck in the heaven and earth stance, obviously. But because it takes you 14 frames to exit stance from a hop kick, you also can't duck a grab if they do it after a hop kick. And also, you don't have any moves after the hop kick that are 6 frames or faster, being -5. So you can't do any move that beats the hop kick. So or that beats grab. So you can't avoid the grab at all. So if you go in the heaven and earth, it's a punish. If you don't go in the heaven and earth after hop kick's blocked, then you have to eat the grab mix up. It's the same for 2-2 as well. Jack is the poking character, but the rage, heat, and power crush ruined it. I smashed somebody for -12 move, but too bad, power crush. Don't you love how they made Tekken into an RPS game by adding power crush? So you can't break grabs when doing a parry. No, grabs after a parry are guaranteed. And that's when it does that like shing sound and then it glows white. that's when a grab is guaranteed. So if you want to test it very easily, just grab against Asuka doing her parry thing, right? Or Sabaki, right? Even a Sabaki. Moves with built-in parries as well, same thing. Do it against Reina when she taps forward. When Reina does her misstep, because that has a parry built into it. The grab will be guaranteed. In all of those instances, grabs always beat parry, and Lydia's Heaven and Earth is exactly the same. I thought it was a counter hit grab sound. Nope, they are different. All right, back to it. So at the wall here, full combo at the wall. Great block, and then getting the heat engager, carrying away the momentum. Wolf 2, right? And so this was probably a pretty obvious idea.
Perfect wall carry.
And we can all recognize that pretty well.
Right there.
Because, oh god, because of the fact that Lee did this before, and Lee doesn't have any stacks, so he's going to want to get that stack. So down back 3 into 4, right? In this situation, you can sidestep the one to the right, and Eddie's left side is at the wall. So again, this comes down to a matchup thing. If you know the matchup, now, it is a little bit scary because the 2 is going to cause you to get wall spot. But if you sidestep this 1, then not only are you getting full combo on Lydia, Lydia's back's to the wall, you have the Oki, and you're draining her heat to a point where she might not be able to get that stack at all throughout the match. So you're not just getting the combo by sidestepping this, you are restricting her ability to play the game for the rest of the game, not the match, the game, right? So that's why sidestepping this Wolf 1 is so vitally important. And because it's plus 10 on block, you cannot deal with the mix-up here. If he does 1, the 1 is a force block. It's guaranteed against Eddie because Eddie doesn't have a 3-frame parry. Hello, Goblin. Hello, hello. Counting grounds can sometimes be broken as a 14-frame break window. Ain't nothing better than grabbing someone out of power crush. Yup. When you have that read and you're like, I know that they're going the heat burst here, and they do it and you grab them. Oh my god. So gets the 1, and then again, 2's guaranteed here. 2's a force block. Look at all that chip damage with 1 stack. Good old hammer tech coming in. And then the little sidestep right. And then down jab. And it's so unfortunate because Abel did the sidestep here, which was good. Would have been more effective if he did it earlier and then just didn't get a punish off of it because he saw that down forward 2 and thought about the stance. But as the Lidia player, you should be looking at this and thinking, okay, he did the down jab because he thought he blocked it and I'm winning the stance. So he's still doing down jab after that. And then again, gets counter hit by the second hit of wall rising forward 4. If you ducked it, then you would have killed him. That gets blocked. Grab gets broken. Nicely done. And then does 4 again. And this time it ends up working out. But again, I don't agree with it. Because Abel has been doing down jab every single time here. You're making such a high-risk decision for really no reason. Right? Like, yeah, you get the wall and everything, but the combo damage isn't a lot. And losing your turn in that wall situation, having to deal with Eddie potentially going into like handstand and grabbing you and all of the wall shenanigans Eddie can do, I just don't think it's worth losing your turn over that, especially when you know that he wants to down jab over and over and over again. I did that today playing Law. You were playing Law? Oh, dear God. I like that though. I like the down back 3 into 1 plus 2. That also loses the down jab, by the way. At least I'm pretty sure it does. Again, we can pull out the little chart here. So down back 3 on hit to down jab. Yeah, 1 plus 2 loses. So 1 plus 2 is an 18-frame move. You're plus 7 on hit after down back 3, so it would have lost, right? But I'm still fine with it because Eddie could have done power crush or something and then just stole it back with the heat engager. So I think it's fine. I think in that situation, risking the down jab for that is perfectly reasonable. So again, down 2, right? And this is why I keep saying down 2 is such a good tool because look how much health Abel has just lost because of that 1 down 2 counter hit. This is what makes down 2 so good. So goes into that, right? And then this is going to be not guaranteed, but we're just going to call it guaranteed because it kind of pisses me off that you're only plus, what, 8 or 6 here. But does the 2, right? Gets the plus frames. Eddie could have power crushed through this. Who cares? Let's not think about that. And then, like, when you're doing that to get the second stack, forward 4-2 in the stance, and then the one there would have beat a grab, and it would have wall splat, so that's good. And then you have to be careful about this. I think that Abel did do a micro step here, which was good. And then the duck, right? And this is why I keep saying, don't do the unblockable. The unblockable is bad. Look at all this momentum Lee has. Look at all of this. We got the 2. We got Heaven and Earth. We got 2. Forward 4-2 into 1 into stance. And then that's it. You could have done so much more, right? After that last one. Because Eddie ducking here with his back to the wall, if you did 2, he would have died. If he blocked it, he practically would have died. Because forward 4-2 counter hit gives you the 1 for full combo and he's dead. Down back 3 counter hit, he's dead. Down back 3 on hit gives you a mix-up that's going to put you in a kill situation. Because you think about the chip damage here, and that would have brought him down to about this much health. Doing the unblockable brings him down here. You have Oki with Lidia, and Lydia's Oki is trash. And you're not able to keep carrying the momentum anymore. And now that it gets ducked, Eddie's going to refill all of this heat. He's going to put your back to the wall. You're going to take half your health and damage. He's going to do heat burst in the middle of the combo. This is why the unblockable is bad. Tone changed the moment Seth said lie. Yep.
Full pickup here, and he can get a power up if he wants to.
Boop, boop. Right. So nice block on the low wake up kick. And again, we're attacking into that. And Lee, I guess Lee was trying to interrupt it, but you have to interrupt it on the 4th hit. Guaranteed follow-up. And that, like, look at the situation. This all came because Lee did the unblockable. It wasn't anything that Eddie did. Look at this. Lee is now, after all of that, Lee is losing the game. Why he's in rage right now. All of that. How much advantage he had. The pressure he had. All of that's gone because he did the unblockable. And what reward would you have gotten off of the unblockable? Over the 2. You know, you don't really get anything out of it. You don't, and that's why the unblockable is bad, and you just shouldn't use it. Because this entire situation would have been completely avoided. Completely avoided if it wasn't for the unblockable. Right? And now Lee's about to lose. So we're making a little bit of a comeback here. And does the low, right? And Abel here could have done, like, power crush into heat dash to try avoiding the 2, or jab or down jab out of the 4, right? A lot of options. And then Lee lost. And what, again, I need to emphasize, why did Lee lose that round? The unblockable. That's it. It's the unblockable. That's the only reason. This is why you shouldn't use the unblockable. So don't do it. It cost Lee this entire round when he had all the momentum, all of the pressure, all of the advantage, and by all account, had Abel's back to the wall, had a huge health lead, and by all accounts, Lee should have won that. And the only reason he didn't is because he did unblockable. That's it. Only reason. You get nothing out of it. Unblockable had more value in Tekken 7. It absolutely did. In this game, it's almost unusable. Hi, Yo Grocery. I just watched this. This is my second time watching it. The first time I watched it, I glimpsed through it in a hotel room. Does forward 4-3 work after unblockable? I don't think it does, no. But I don't know, to be honest with you. Watching that tournament was like watching a Deviljin win by spamming wave with the house sweep all match long, and afterwards a bunch of people go, see how broken he is? There's literally nothing one can do to stop the house sweep. God, it reminds me of when Austin was playing Elisa and said, yeah, Elisa's top 5. Or top 10 or whatever he said. That's second plays for you.
The song picking up is getting intense.
Right, and so now again, let's go back to round start here so we can look at this one more time. So round 3, down forward 1-2 again, starting off, not bad. Forward 4-2 into 2, stand block there. Now again, let's pull out the shot. supposed to be a learning experience for everyone. Forward 4-2 on block. Horse 2 loses to down jab. Right? This is why I wanted to pull up the chart. Forward 4-2 on block. Horse 2 loses to down jab. In fact, the only thing that beats down jab here is horse 3. So if Eddie just did the exact same thing he's been doing this entire game, which is down jab, Lee would have got nothing and would have lost the advantage. It still got blocked and he got punished, but what is the horse 2 trying to accomplish? Because look at this. What does horse 2 beat? It beats grab, which Eddie hasn't been doing this entire game. It beats hop kick. Eddie hasn't been doing this entire game. Duck. Eddie hasn't been doing this entire game. If he's been ducking, he's been doing down jab. So horse 2 does nothing. It literally does nothing. There's no reason to use horse 2 here. There's absolutely no reason to ever use horse 2 here. So that was just a poor decision on Lee's part. It does absolutely nothing. Honestly, feel the unblockable is just good against June or anyone that's able to parry mid. Yes, exactly. The unblockable is only good in some matchups where the opponent can specifically parry when you're plus 10, and you need to have an option to be able to beat the parry, but that's it. That's the only situation it's good for. Are you playing on streaming tomorrow? Yes, I am. Love to try playing against you again. Yeah, we'll do viewer matches tomorrow for sure. So our move gets sidestepped, right? Goes for that. Down back 3 into the 1. Good patience now. Into the 4. Into the 2. And an armor move does beat that there for some reason, but that's good. Good punish here. At the wall now. No, this is a scary situation. Chooses to do, I don't know what he did. But Heat Burst is going to get out of it. 4 is the only thing that could have beat that there because this is a good game.
On both sides.
Also does Heat Burst. Jab into here and then unblockable again. And that's a situation where unblockable makes sense, right? And this is also a situation where immediate heat smash makes sense. Why does immediate heat smash make sense here? It makes sense because Eddie at this point is in rage. And when the opponent is in rage, your chip damage is 75% of what it would normally be. So the chip damage that you're getting from something like Heaven and Earth 2 is basically nothing. And so you're not getting any real advantage out of that. So all of the advantage that you're going to be getting normally out of Heaven and Earth isn't really there as much. Now, you can still get stance mix-ups and stuff, but when you have Eddie's back to the wall like this and you have that advantage, this is the best way to capitalize on that. Now, could have done like a running 1 because Eddie doesn't know the matchup, so he's not going to power crush outfit or anything. Or like down back 3 into 2 into heat dash or something, but this still works perfectly well. And then doing the unblockable here wins you the round, and so that value that you're getting out of that is so high that it's worth it. And if you get comboed here, you don't lose. So if the Eddie ducks it and he combos off of this, he's not getting the fresh heat burst, he's not recovering a lot of gray life, you're not dead, and if it hits, it wins the round. So now the risk reward proposition is better, right? It's actually worth using. But in the last round, it wasn't, because the unblockable didn't kill. It didn't really do anything that the 2 didn't already do. And you lose so much more for having that ducked. It cost Lee the entire round. So you have to be very aware of why you're using the unblockable and when you should be using the unblockable. And that was a good situation to use it. Right. So he's constantly blocking that. That was a great low parry.
Takes the opportunity to go in the heat.
Forward 4-2, and yeah, there you go, full combo here.
With the horse 1.
Nice, and then the 2, and then again into that, and now heat smash, right? So again, we're getting some hammer tech in here. So where'd the hammer tech come in? Because this all happened very fast. So we got the combo, right? We did down 1, which is something that we actually discovered on Discord the other day is quite a good Oki option. And then run up him while rolling with down back 3 to be able to go in the stance. Do 4, go in the stance again. Horse 1, again, this can be sidestepped right or beaten with power crush, so that's something that Eddie should keep in mind. And Lee always wants to do this when he's in heat. So if I was a Bell, every single time Lee did that horse 4, I would be sidestepping right to give combo. And then that with the back to the wall there would just kill all of Lee's momentum. But now we get hammer tech with the 2. Heat smash, right? Into an R2, more frames, and then down back 3 counter hit. That's a frame trap, and then that's 2 games. So that was a really good use of Lydia's pressure there. Yeah, so going into game 3 here, let's go back to the beginning because something happened here that's very important. So we do jab that whiffs, down forward 2, trade into political storm. So there are a lot of moves with Lidia that on trade give you guaranteed political storm. Down back 3 is one of them, and down forward 2 is one of them. I believe there's one other as well. So we do that immediately into heat smash, right? And so this is why hammer tech is better. This is why hammer tech is better. Now you're getting the full wall combo here, right? Which does do a lot of damage, but you're not getting that stack. And in my opinion is you're getting this extra damage. And of course, Lee is just going to win this round, right? Like he needs one more hit. I don't remember what happens here, so it's going to be really embarrassing me saying that if he doesn't win this round. But forward 4-2 and the 1+2, right? There wasn't much else to say there, and then the 1+2 works beautifully. But now we're going into round 2 with a little bit of a disadvantage because we didn't use hammer attack and we didn't get that stack. So, and then specifically because this heat smash ended up hitting. So if we go back here, what are some things that Lee could have done differently? Right here, running 1. Right? Running 1 could have worked here. 1+2. Even a forward 4-2. Right? All of that would have worked. And a forward 4-2 here, assuming that he ducked, would have given you 2. And then you would have been able to get 2 stacks in that one round. So it's not like this is bad, right? But this is also showing why hammer tech can be so strong because again, of course Lee's going to kill here in this situation, right? But he would have been able to do it anyway. And if he did something that put him into the stance and also did that damage, like again 1+2 running 1 or something like that after heat engager, he would have been able to win the round and have that stack, right? So it's not, again, I'm not saying the heat smash is bad there by any means. It was a great option. If it was blocked, he would have got that stack anyway and would have had the wall pressure. But there are other options he could have done to be able to get that stack and win the round. I just need advice on something is all. Oh yeah, that's fine. Down forward 1-3 round start counter hit, very nice. Forward 4-2 I was running 2. Ducks under the high. So now this is the first time in the set. It's the first time in the set where we've noticed about that just raw ducking. Oh no, he down jabbed. He down jabbed and it armored through. So no, never mind. He down jabbed again. And Lee, again, not aware of this. Abel keeps doing this over and over and over again. And every single time the answer is just horse 3. And Lee did this once in game 1 and never again. And Lee has not, or Eddie has not been jabbing to float Lidia out of horse 3. And how much damage do you think Lee would have been able to get out of horse throughout this match if he just caught Eddie doing down jab with the 3? Especially with the wall back there. I mean, that by itself does like 47 damage or something. And again, this is a teachable moment on why it's very important to be aware of what your opponent is doing, the actions they're taking out of the when you're going into the stance, and how you can counter it. Because it's going to, like in this case with Lee, shut down a lot of the options you can do and make them more punishable, and it's going to enable other options. So in this case, Lee's just doing a lot of the moves that lose the down jab, right? 1+2, 1, all of these lose to down jab. And in fact, again, matchup thing, because Abel didn't know this, but Abel could have got a launch punish after down jabbing the 1 there. He just didn't know because of the matchup. But if he knew that after the down jab, then this situation would be a hell of a lot worse for Lee Mishima. Round ending. You have to be aware of that. You have to. Okay, moving on.
Okay, little punish until frame trap down 4-2.
Nice little block there. Into the wolf stance. Nice mix up. I like it because of the passiveness. The only thing, like, again, the only gripe I'm going to say is, why aren't you doing the horse 3, you know?
Okay, that's one thing we have.
But that's fine. Gets hit out of that. That's a shame. right? One thing you could have done there is potentially Political Storm, but right now, Lee is just trying to fish for that stack. That's the most important thing right now. It's more important to get that stack than to win the game. And that's why I did 1-1-2 there, right? It's more important to get that stack and win the game. So it's like, I gotta do 1-1-2 because I'm about to die. If it hits, then I go into stance and I get the stack. If I don't, then I'm dead. But that's worth it, right? And he didn't end up getting it. It was a desperation thing, but he didn't really have much of a choice. Blocks the low.
That's the first time we've seen Abel use that.
Back one. Forward 4-2 into one again. Doesn't he? Not even concerned about the down jab, but he really should be. 4 for the mix-up. Does the 1. Again, the 1 can be beaten by sidestep right or power crush. Gets the heat dash. Going to the wall. Going to the breakable wall as well. Now we're at the wall. Just stays down to avoid that. Forward 4-2. That ends up... I don't know what happened there. So forward 4-2. I think that was just Eddie's, like, idle animation. Like, he sidestepped it, and then his idle animation went under. It didn't look like he crouched. That was weird. And then going in the heat, and again, we just want that stacked, right? So that down back 3, that the intention there was probably for it to just hit, to go in the stance, but because it was counted, it's actually a little bit worse. But the last hit of the Political Storm hits forward 1+2, and then just saying, you know what? At this point, I can't fish for it. I need to just win the round. And that's perfectly fine. There's still one more round of wiggle room. But that round 3, when you're both at 1 games, is very scary. Because if you go into a round where the opponent can win and you don't have any stacks, your comeback potential and your snowball potential is so low and so bad that it's going to be hard for you to win from the, like, maybe not the round, but the game from that position, right? So... There are 3 things. The best thing you can obviously do is win the round to get the stack. Then is probably lose the round and get the stack, but also winning the round and not having a stack is about the same. But losing the round and not getting a stack, you do not want that. Anything besides that. So if you can do something to win the round there, you probably should. So Political Storm there is pretty good. Down forward 1-2 again, and Abel's not ducking it. Right. There it is again with the down jab. Forward 4-2. And then the 1. Unblockable again. And again, I don't agree with the unblockable there. It doesn't accomplish anything that the 2 doesn't. I guess because you don't have the stack, but if you got launched from that, then you're potentially going the final round. Finally does the 3. And look at this value. Finally, after 3 games. I don't know how many rounds of Abel doing down jab. Finally does the 3. So forward 4-2, Eddie does down jab, hits, forward 1+2, and now you have all of this. Doesn't quite get the right timing with forward 4-2, but if it counter hit, he would have won, and he could have counter hit with it there. But this is why I'm saying you have to be aware of this, because look at all of that damage and the advantage that Lee has now. Imagine if he was doing that throughout this entire game to beat down jab, right? Late on the hop kick after that, gets punished. Plus frames. Actually, for some reason, I think that's punishable. Goes through armor, back 1+2, in rage. Forward 4-2, 3 to a beat down jab. Now Eddie's going to be more likely to jab, so you have to be really careful going into this final round. Immediate Political Storm, a hit confirm into heat, getting all of that advantage. Hammer tech, the hammer came down. 1 gets ducked. Eddie doesn't know it's launch punishable. Gets the heat engager, Lee's out of heat here, tries to go for hop kick, but gets armored through. Eddie has all of the heat remaining. That gets hit. Punish doesn't come through. Counter hit grab. Both at about equal. 4 into the 2 to try to get wall splat. They sidestep. Doesn't get sidestep, and then counter hit down back 3 does it. And that was all just... Those were all just moves, right? That was the final game, and he ended up winning. So... let's look back through it here from here. So at this point, your heat is so low that there's not much you can do with it. If you get a good hit off of a move that can transition, like again, hop kick, then you can get 1 more time in heaven and earth. But the, again, it's a gimmick because it can be grabbed out of, and obviously armor beat that there. So lows, right? Plus frames from the wall splat. That's -10. Doesn't get the punish. Grab to counter hit him out of it. And now we're on even health. This is just Tekken at this point. There's nothing to do specifically with Lidia. Down back 3 to catch the wake up. Of course, if that got blocked, then he would have died. But any low would have killed him there. The 4 for that, for the plus frames. And then 2, right? And why do the 2? You do the 2 because Eddie hasn't been power crushing in this situation. So power crush beats this. I don't know if anyone knows, but at +8, this move is 15 frames. So you do the math, and power crush actually beats this here. And power crush with heat engager for Eddie might have just won the game. With rage as well. But Abel hasn't done that the entire match because he doesn't know the matchup. So 2 gets blocked here, and 2 would have beat down jab. And 4 would not have beat down jab, and it would have beat sidestep. So after that, 1-2 to beat out the attack, and then just a simple down back 3. Because even on normal hit that's going to kill, you need a low, and down back 3 is going to be the homing one. It's going to be a lot of options. You could have also gone for down 3-1. I think that would have also been reasonable, but it wouldn't have killed on normal hit, only would have killed on counter hit. And that's it. That's the game. So that was the Lidia game. So what were the lessons that we could learn from watching this game for all of you Lidia players here? The main takeaway from this, is make sure that you are thinking about what actions your opponents are doing to beat whatever stance mix-up you're doing and reacting accordingly, right? That's the biggest thing. Sorry, yeah, lesson number 1, like Zach said, is hammer tech. But that's the biggest thing. Just, you gotta make sure that you're doing the right option out of your stances to beat the opponent's option. Because the amount of times that Lee could have gotten more reward for doing horse 3 or whatever is just astronomical. And because he wasn't doing that, he wasn't getting a lot of reward. Also, we also saw that the unblockable can absolutely be a detriment to your entire life, and you really shouldn't use it outside of very niche situations. There was one time where it was used where it made a lot of sense to use it. There was one time where it was used where it killed Lee just because he did it when he should have otherwise won. And there were a couple of other times where he did it when he probably shouldn't have because the risk reward wasn't that great. But then, of course, the good things that were done there, like the attention to the heaven and earth stacks, making sure that you're fishing for those forward 2s, having good decisions on the lows, doing the down 2 and the counter hit, just overall being aware of the situations you are in heat and trying to make full use out of the heat. Those were the big takeaways, I think, from this match. But also what we've learned here today is that Lidia can win a tournament. Lidia can win a Tekken World to a major event, and therefore we should be nerfing Devil Jin. Anyway, bye-bye!